It starts with Jinten playing video games on a hot summer's day when all of a sudden his space is invaded by Menma. Jinten pays her no mind though, thinking that she's an hallucination from the summer's heat. Why is that? Well, it's because Menma died 10 years ago. Going into Anohana, I was expecting to like it, but not to the degree that I did after finishing it. I've always loved grounded human stories like the ones we've seen in movies and shows like Violet Evergarden, Vinland Saga, and A Silent Voice. We follow 6 main protagonists in this story: Jinten, Anaru, Popo, Tsuruko, Yukiyatsu, and lastly, Menma. They all hung out and played together at their secret base until a horrible accident happened, costing Menma her life. Since the accident, the group has drifted apart and dealt with their grief and guilt in their own, albeit unhealthy ways. Jinten has become a shut-in and dropped out of school. Anaru feels like she has to wear a mask and make friends with questionable people, but she ultimately feels lonely. Tsuruko has buried herself in her studies trying to drown out her sadness. Popo has taken up traveling and, in a sense, is running away from his guilt and grief. Yukiyatsu is the worst of all though, because he's taken up dressing as Menma and walking through the forest where she died. All these characters are carrying a lot of emotional baggage. And to see them all work things out was uplifting and heartbreaking at the same time. Because on one hand, you're watching them work things out with each other bit by bit, but at the same time, they're unloading their trauma that they've been housing for the past 10 years. This is not a show for the faint of heart. After some time, Jinten comes to accept that Menma is indeed there for him to interact with, but the catch is, he's the only one that can see her. So when he goes to his friend saying that Menma is back and that she has a wish she wants to come true, they're understandably reluctant to believe him. The only one that believes him right off the bat is Popo, but that's only because he's kind of desperate to see her again. In fact, it becomes more and more obvious that every character has their own agenda the further you get into things. That's because the day before Menma died, they all got into a big fight where Anaru asked Jinten if he liked Menma or not. In an act of desperation, he calls Menma ugly and immediately regrets it. He was going to apologize to her the next day, but that day never came. Every character has something about that day that they wish they could change. Jinten wants to apologize to Menma. Anaru wishes she never asked the question that started it all. And Yukiyatsu feels like he's responsible for Menma's death. All of them ask the question, what if? Why did I react like that? What if I didn't ask that question? What if I didn't chase after her? What would have happened if I had gotten involved? Everybody is stuck in their own version of the past. It's all too easy to dwell on the whys and what ifs of the past and cut yourself off from the people who care about you. They only truly start to heal when they open up to each other about their true thoughts and feelings instead of sticking with their distorted desires. As the series goes on, Menma's wish becomes a strong motivational force for the characters. The idea of Menma's wish also becomes a double-edged sword that everybody uses to attempt to get something, or at least prevent something from happening. This is spoilers territory, so skip to the timestamp on screen and come back once you finish the show. In the final few episodes, they build a rocket for Menma because they legitimately believe that that is her wish, and by doing so, they'll help her move on. But as it turns out, the rocket wasn't her wish at all. It was what they thought her wish was. Tsuruko and Anaru are the same in terms of what they want. They want Menma to move on to the next life, so that way the people that they like will move on from her and notice them. The people in question are Jinten for Anaru and Yukiyatsu for Tsuruko. What Popo wishes for is to see Menma one last time because he was the first to find her body. That's why he travels so much. He wants to see anything else other than that one horrible image. He wants to see her one last time and get closure. But when they find out that the rocket wasn't her wish after all, they begin to reevaluate and admit to each other that they were all doing it for selfish reasons. But shortly thereafter, Anaru's eyelash comes undone, and for a brief moment, they all laugh and revert to calling each other by their old nicknames. It's there they realize what they should have been doing all along, living in the moment with each other. It's important to remember the past, and an extent Menma, yes, but Menma is gone, and the past is the past. There's nothing you can do that will change it. So asking self-deprecating what-if questions will only cause more harm than good. In the end, the wish serves as a method for reflection and self-discovery, pushing each of them to face their regret and guilt that's haunted them for the past decade. The wish becomes a symbolic journey, not only for Menma, but for her friends as well. The show masterfully weaves together the individual threads of their desires, building towards a powerful and emotionally rich climax. The ending of Anohana is both heart-wrenching and uplifting, providing a sense of closure to the characters' wild emotional journey. Scenes that used to be painful and full of regret now turn into moments of reflection and acceptance. It's a testament to the narrative's strength that it manages to balance the bittersweet nature of loss with the hope of moving forward. In these final episodes, Anohana not only delivers the emotional investment it builds, but also leaves the viewer with a profound message about the transformative power of acknowledging and overcoming grief. Upon finishing Anohana, I found myself reflecting on my own experiences, like those seen in the show. It didn't take me too long to realize that I had gone through something very similar. Back when I was a kid, not too much older than everybody in the show when they lost Menma, I lost a good friend of mine too. And the pain that comes with suddenly losing a loved one it's a pain that nobody should have to go through. Not being able to talk to them or say goodbye one last time it shatters you. Especially when you were as young as I was. And that pain, it stays with you. You will heal, you will get better, but it leaves a permanent scar that will open up from time to time. I know mine did once I finished the show. The portrayal of grief in Anohana hit me with a force I wasn't expecting. The show serves as a mirror of my own experiences, making the characters' struggles all the more relatable, for better or worse. It's a testament to the show's emotional depth that it can resonate so strongly with those who have faced similar struggles. So, am I glad I watched Anohana? Absolutely. It's more than just a beautifully animated series. It's a passionate exploration of the human condition, offering comfort to those who've struggled with the pain of loss. Anohana may not be a masterpiece to everybody, but it certainly touched my heart and left a profound mark. Thank you for joining me on this emotional journey.